What's up guys, my name's Gherkin and this is going to be a run on the dragons from the Tiny Teeny DLC, the Dragon Raid boss on Overpower level 8, which means they're going to be level 80 plus. And it's going to be like my video on Hyperius. I'm just going to go over what the basic tactic we were using was, and then just a few notes on build, gear, teammates, and what I think it was that we did which made it a lot easier on ourselves. Again, this isn't impossible, and in fact it's just a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. We kind of went into this thinking we were going to get absolutely trashed. And as it turned out, we got it on our second try, and I'm going to go through, well, I'm going to stress what it was which completely destroyed us on our first try, and it's really something quite obvious. But basically just go through what we were using, what we were doing, and what it is about that which I think really helps out. A lot of this is going to be kind of similar to the video I did in Hyperius, so in terms of like exact building gear, check that video out as well, that's on my channel. But anyway, so the basic tactic is going to be completely the same as it was a 61. You're going to want to bring down Helianth first. That's obviously the electric dragon, and the reason you want to bring him down is because he's going to heal every other dragon every time he's down. So attacking another dragon isn't really going to help you, because if Helianth comes down at any point before the other dragon is dead, he's just going to give him their health back. So it's generally always the tactic just to take him out first, for safety's sake. Obviously if you want to start with another dragon, and you can definitely bring him down every single time until he's dead, then go ahead, but I can imagine it must be pretty annoying if you get him down to low health and then Helianth ends up coming down and giving him all his health back. The other main thing is you leave boost till last, and the other two dragons are fairly interchangeable as long as they're in the middle. Helianth first, boost last, and the reason you leave boost till last is every time he comes down he's going to level up every other remaining dragon. So unless you can kill him on the first time he lands, in which case he'll only level up the remaining ones once, then you're going to have some serious issues, and this is what screwed us over in our first attempt. We ended up bringing boost down by mistake about 4 or 5 times. I think maybe he was getting hit by the commando turrets when we were having to use them to revive, and what that meant was Incinerator then ended up on level 88 or 87, and at that point he's very hard to kill. If you noticed when they were higher level at level 61, you're really going to notice it now, and they become extremely tough, so I can't stress enough, do not bring boost down until the very end. If you bring him down accidentally once or twice, obviously there's no point in just giving up, but it's gonna be pretty tough. If you're really competent players, though, you can probably get around it as long as you're willing to put some time in. They can have a lot of health, so I literally can't stress that enough. Do not bring boost down until the very end. We learned that the hard way. The order is pretty important in a way. It's going to make things a lot easier on you. But in terms of actually taking them out, you're going to see me in this video pretty much just standing in front of them and shooting them square in the face with the double Herald. That's an OP8 Herald, Overpower level 8 Herald. And I'm just really going to sit there nailing them in the critical hit point. Especially with that money shot on, you're going to be able to do a lot of damage. And the way you're able to do that fairly easily, especially with the Gunzerker, is a piece of equipment which I'm going to say is essential again, is at least the Moxie Ruby. We were lucky enough to have the Grog Nozzle on this save, which gives you 50% of all damage you do back as health. I mean, that's crazy. If you're the Gunzerker, that means you get 50% of the Herald damage back as health, which is partially why I'm able just to stand in front of them and just keep nailing them in the face with this Herald. Other things that are going to make that a lot easier for me, a good Anshin Shield. The reason I say an Anshin Shield is because a lot of the damage you're going to get during this raid boss is elemental damage, and there's that kind of like that tentative moment when you're on low health and you get hit by a fireball or something, and elemental damage is eating away at your remaining health, and you're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. But a good ancient shield is really good against kind of things like this, because they're all adaptive and they adapt to the last element that hit you. And if you've got some shield left and you can just stand in front of these dragons, it's going to take them a little while to get rid of your shield. And lucky enough, we had already killed Hyperius, so we had evolution shields, which have massive elemental resistance, about 70%. So those were a big help. Otherwise, again, anything with a good recharge stats, you want a small delay. It's always a temptation to put on a B shield during this fight. But we've never actually done it, but I really wouldn't recommend it. I'm sorry, we've never done it successfully. We have tried it, and it has not worked out well. I think the cons outweigh the benefits, and this is the way you have to think about it. If I were to use the B shield, I would have to stand off a little bit from the dragon that was down, just to make sure he doesn't take any of my shield off, and then cross my fingers that none of the others take my shield off, which obviously isn't going to happen. They are. But to actually get that damage, I'm going to have to stand a little way off. Whereas if I don't have that B shield and I don't have that kind of pressure of having all my shield back so I can do extra damage, I can just literally stand right in front of him and just keep smacking him square in the face. And at the end of the day, I'm going to do more damage this way. So a good ancient shield like that. As for my build, I'm very, very sorry if you're not a Gunzerker. This is what I can go over in the most detail in terms of builds, simply because that's the character I play as. It's simple as that. Again, though, I didn't change my build at all than it was for Hyperius. Exactly the same build. If you want to see kind of visually what that build was, it's at the end of the Hyperius video. I kind of pause the video and just kind of briefly talk about that. But it's a fairly standard Gunzerker pistol raid boss build. You're gonna have a few points in every single tree, and at level 72 you can actually make those points stretch quite far. As for the Gunlust tree, I've got points in Huckleberry, Divergent Lightness, and of course the Money Shot, which is going to be buffed out by this Monk class mod. The Monk class mods tend to put points into Money Shot. So I've got 10 points in Money Shot, and then in the Rampage tree I'm all the way down to second to bottom. Can't remember what that's called. That's pretty bad. But with the right points in the Rampage tree, obviously you can Gunzerk for a very long time. That gives you extra health regen, and any other perks that you have points in, and it's going to let you recharge your Gunzerk very quickly. And then the Brawn tree, as I said in the last video, I get right down to Sexual Tyrannosaurus, and I've got an extra 4 points from this Monk class mod which go into that, so I've got 5 out of 5 on that for the price of 1. And even more interestingly, this class mod gives you +4 in Asbestos, which is all about elemental resistance. So I've got 9 out of 5 in Asbestos, so that's an extra, I think it's -72% elemental effect duration. So this kind of reduction in elemental effects time, plus the elemental resistance of an ancient shield. And you're gonna be pretty well set up to take little damage. Obviously, those direct hits are gonna really hurt, and as I say, you're just not going to be able to dodge absolutely everything for the whole match. Which brings me to your team. I wouldn't ever recommend attempting this raid boss on your own. As good as you are at dodging stuff, eventually you're going to get nailed. And if you've ever tried it on your own, you realise you just suddenly draw all the aggro and you're not going to survive. And if you go into fight for your life on this, unless you've got someone to pick you up, you're generally pretty screwed unless you happen to have bought Brood down and have some Basilisk running around. Then you might be okay. But it's generally not a raid boss I would recommend trying to solo. And that means a Siren with the res ability is going to be absolutely crucial. Well, it's not essential, but it's going to make a lot more of these attempts successful. Simply because when you're reviving, you're extremely vulnerable, and it's that kind of horrible moment if you're trying to revive your teammate. Suddenly, all the dragons are going to go for both of you, especially if you're only playing as a 2. So that ability to instantly res is extremely handy. When our siren went down, we then had a commander with the failing shields. Again, these shields are so useful for Hyperius. They stop those Nova Blasts. And in this context, he could put those up and get, you know, good proportion through reviving, if not revive him straight away, all the way just by without the shield going down. So definitely very useful, and that left me not doing really any reviving, which made me feel very bad as a teammate. But hopefully I made up for it just by dealing out some raw damage to these dragons. So, I mean, that should hopefully explain how you're able just to stand in front of these things and just keep nailing them square in the mouth. I've got that grog nozzle out, which means I'm just getting all my health back every time I shoot anyway. I've got a good shield on. Obviously, when you're standing in front of something, that shield's not going to last long, no matter what it is. And then that elemental resistance from the skill tree. And again, a lot of this is about survivability. You need a lot of, well, just a way to reliably regen your health. Hopefully a good shield that you can just get back fairly regularly as well. But really it's all about kind of just keeping your health up, and survivability in this raid boss stretches out to reviving as well. You know, in the Hyperius it's not such a massive issue. You know, I said it in the video though, again, a Siren with a res ability against Hyperius is really useful just because you can turn kind of failed attempts into successes. But a lot of the time with Hyperius, it's just that kind of mad dash at the end, just trying to get his health down. Whereas this one, it tends to be a little different. You're going to want to bring your teammates back if they get knocked down. It's not something you can just say, oh, my teammate's down, screw it, you know. But if they're down, you're going to be okay to pick them up. You're not going to have Hyperius jumping at you and just kicking you off them. But you are going to be vulnerable, so again, failing shields, starting with a res ability, very, very useful. That's not to say if you don't have these, you're not going to be able to pick each other up though. It's just going to make it a little bit more precarious. And one thing you can do, it sounds a bit stupid, but when you are reviving your teammate, you can actually kind of crouch walk around them in a circle. If you're playing on a console like I am, this is a little bit tricky. You need some good kind of joystick control, but you can do it, and it seems to reduce the amount of times you do get hit while trying to revive. So consider that maybe. What else? I said ammo was a big thing against Hyperius. It is, but against these guys it's not so bad because you got those ammo shrines. And I'm guessing you didn't get to level 72 and Overpower level 8 without having probably a backlog of Iridium with you. Make sure you haven't spent it all in the black market or something. You only need 2. I think I only needed to use it once during this entire fight. So it's not too bad. If you're not a Gunzoker though and you're not regenning that ammo, you might need to use it a couple more times. But really no issue, and it really does give you all your ammo back pretty much. It's a very good deal for only 2 Iridium. And obviously you've got the health shrine there if you're really knocking on death's door. Especially if you're trying to solo it. I can't imagine anyone's going to be trying to solo this on Overpower level 8 yet. But obviously keep an eye on where that is. To be honest, there's not much more specifically I can say. What I would say is, if you think this is going to be really, really difficult and almost impossible, think again, if you get this right and you don't bring boost down, I cannot stress this enough, do not bring boost down before the end. Then it's actually fairly simple. I didn't really notice much difference in the time it took between this and just doing it standardly at level 61. It must have taken a little longer than it would have because they're proportionally just a higher level. But it didn't seem that long at all. And to be honest, as long as you all know what you're doing and you get the order right, I don't think you're going to have as much trouble as you might think you will. Hyperius actually seemed like more of a challenge, you know. It took us more than a couple of attempts to get him down. But this was our second attempt, and as I say, the first attempt only went awry because we walked Boost down way too many times, and everything ended up way too tough, and Incinerator was setting the whole arena on fire. But this time he went down fairly easy, just because he wasn't that high level. Well guys, I hope this has been in some way useful. If you have any more specific questions, again, put them in the comments, because I always feel like I've forgotten to say something or mention something big, but really you just want to be able to deal, you want at least one person in your team dealing massive damage. As I say, with Gunzerker, if you've got this build, you can just stand in front of them, even at this level. You can just stand in front of them and wail on them right in the crit hit point. Otherwise, some kind of survivability method, a way to get your health back, or and a quick recharging shield, but you know, health regen is a massive one. And for that, obviously, Moxie weapons are king. And a good way to revive, the Phalanx shield, the res ability, all very useful. It's not essential though, but it does make things a lot less precarious. And occasionally you will go to revive someone on full health, full shield, and every dragon will nail you directly, and it can be really infuriating. So it's definitely a good thing to have one of those on your team. Otherwise, just standard Gunzerker build I was using, and nothing special really. So anyway, again, leave any questions in the comments if you've got any other issues. Otherwise, I've been Gherkin, and I will see you next time.